It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, rise and shine. You're on with It's Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you doing this morning? That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Yes, it's your girl Shontyce with you this morning. Pastor Steph is a little under the weather, so we apologize for not being on yesterday morning, but we are here this morning. So, where have you been all week? Have you been here? We've been here every day with the exception of yesterday. We were here for Shaking the Monday Morning Blues. We were here for Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Now, I didn't get to do a switch tip for the week because I was able to sit in for Lady Tamika this week, who has been a little under the weather herself, but we give God thanks that she is okay. Amen. And Tuesday, we were talking about the videos that Pastor Steph made sure our eyes hit this week. So what was the first video? Marvin Sapp standing in the church and had the congregation line up in the middle of the church to give their offering, but they had to give a speech as to what their name was, how much they were given for tithes and offering. And the lady stood up and said, "My name is such and such," and gave her preliminary speech and then said, "I'm sowing $1,000 in addition to $235, and he takes the check from her and says, "Okay, so y'all not hearing me. Y'all not listening to me." And she said, "Oh, I know I'm working on the other 800. He said, "Okay, but that's not what I said." But still took the check as she walked off. Then we saw the video of Juanita Bynum standing up in front of the entire church talking about God told her it's time to pay some bills. And God told her that there would be 21 people sowing $1,066, so she would not have to beg because God has already designated who those people were. So at first a couple of people came up, a few people went up. And then after they sat down, she said, "Okay, but there's still 5 more people." And God is saying, you're not debating on whether you're giving an offering, you're debating on your future. Well, I thought you said that he said you didn't have to beg. So how did this work? I don't know. That means that Jesus had, that was going around, mainly on Instagram at one point, it was Jesus standing there like this. And he was like, "I ain't got nothing to do with that." That's all I kept envisioning as we were discussing these 2 videos. Pastor Steph, Pastor Vinny, Pastor KL, and myself. We really have to make sure we're doing what we need to do. Okay. Then we had our Wow Wednesday, again with our Socially Conscious segment with V. And those stories were quite interesting that it literally took the entire show to discuss it. And Vivian always finds those right type of stories to get us going throughout the middle of the week. If you missed it, you have to make sure that you go back because we were talking about the shortage on the bus drivers. There's no contracts anymore. So there are no bus drivers that they have to hire in order to keep this well-needed, very highly needed mode of transportation throughout the school year. This is still kind of the beginning of the school year. Keeping that going. amongst a couple of other stories. So you're gonna have to make sure that you go back and you, oh my gosh, the paying of the student loans, how soon they expect them to pay the students to pay it back after post graduation. And again, remember, Vivian also did the story a couple of weeks ago on her social content segment about how half the time they can't even find a job post graduation in their field. You pay all this money, you spend all this time getting your degree to end up working at McDonald's. Make sure you go back. And again, unfortunately, for Therapeutic Thursday, we were not here. But again, we are here this morning for Freestyle Friday, y'all. I love every day of the week. I love every theme of the week. God ensures that we keep to each theme. Freestyle Friday, I love being able to dive into the celebrity content that God blesses us with to make sure that we talk about. So that's what, and we have the men on this morning, y'all. It's Men's Day, and we get to do whatever we want to do, talk about whatever we want to talk about. And what I love about God is He teaches us how to use our freedom of speech to still serve Him and not talk all willy-nilly and about careless things. Okay, remember, we're journalists, y'all. Anytime we post, anytime we repost, anytime we share a post, anytime we comment, we're being held to that responsibility of what you're spreading, what you've heard. Are you thorough in what you're giving? Gotta make sure we're paying attention to that. So make sure you go tell a friend and tell a friend. That's what I'm doing, y'all. I'm making sure I'm telling a friend, I'm DMing a friend, I'm texting a friend, telling them to text a friend, let them know that it's due time with Pastor Steph with your girl Shontyce this morning. It's on. Make sure you don't go anywhere, but get that healthy breakfast. Make sure you stay tuned because we will be right back.
They didn't shut this school down for failing. They shut it down for succeeding. Wait till you hear what they did to America's most successful black school. In the late 1800s, when segregation ruled the South and racism shaped policy, one black public school in Washington, D.C. broke every expectation. It was called Paul Laurence Dunbar High School. Founded in 1870, Dunbar wasn't just good, it was elite. Its students scored higher on tests than many white schools nationwide. Over 80% of Dunbar graduates went to college, at a time when most black students weren't even allowed in certain classrooms. And get this, their teachers? Many had advanced degrees from Harvard, Columbia, and other Ivy League schools. They were black scholars teaching the next generation of leaders, doctors, engineers, judges, and professors. By the 1950s, Dunbar had become a symbol of excellence, proof that given opportunity, black students could achieve beyond measure. Then came desegregation. Instead of expanding Dunbar's model across the country, the system dismantled it. Leadership was removed, resources were cut, and the curriculum was stripped down. The school that once represented hope was buried under policies meant to equalize. Dunbar's story proves something powerful. When black excellence rises, it challenges the system. What they couldn't compete with, they chose to erase. And even now, we're still feeling the effects of that loss. If you believe
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome again. We are here. It's due time with Pastor Steph Freestyle Friday, y'all. We get to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, and mainly we get into our celebrity news, our celebrity tips, our celebrity topics, along with the men today. It is Men's Day today here on It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Did y'all pay attention to that PSA? They just try to take the credit for any and everything and then want to kick us out the way, y'all. Are y'all paying attention to this? You know, one of the things that I always say is that they love us to the point where they hate us. And I don't know why, because we're all just supposed to be getting along and one another, more loving one another in the name of the Lord, correct? Come on, let's get this together. But before we go any further, we have to make sure we uphold the things that the Lord and Pastor Steph deem important. And of course, that is acknowledging our supporters, our faithful viewers. Good morning, Terrence. How are you doing this morning? Thank you so much for being on with us. Who's going to start your morning with us? Good morning, Ketty. Good morning. I know you got your coffee. I got to buy my coffee maker. Remember what I told you I learned about coffee. Okay. Good morning, Lady Tamika. Yes, it's a great day to be alive. Amen. Praying that you're feeling better, that you're doing better. Okay. Making sure we say good morning to Miss Anika. Good morning, Anika. Thank you so much for helping to hold it down throughout the week. Yes, hope Pastor Steph feels better. She was feeling a little better last night, but still needed a little more rest. So we're going to give God thanks for any and all levels of progress and praying that she feels better, God willing, on today. Good morning, Teresa. How are you? Praying you're traveling safe this morning. Now, I hope the music isn't too loud on your end. Try to turn it down some. Okay, let's get into our... Oh, wait. Good morning, Miss Grace. Good morning. Thank you so much for being on with us, praying that you're feeling pumped up, energized, and ready to get your day started. Okay, so today we are getting into some celebrity trivia, y'all. And I wanted to make sure this one was rather intriguing and interesting, and came across some trivia that I thought was rather interesting when it comes to our actors and actresses. So we got child actors who are still working today. Because we know, especially when you talk about these Disney actors, they just mess these kids up, y'all. Y'all know it. Y'all saw the documentary. Y'all heard of the documentary. You've heard of a lot of these child stars who just plummeted because either the parents done spent all the kids' money, so by the time the sitcom or the series or the movie stopped coming and rolling around, they ain't have any money to fall back on because the parents mainly was spending the money. Half of them ended up on drugs. Not all of them bounced back, unfortunately. We're going to get into some faces that we know, never forgot, some faces that we did forget, and maybe some faces that you're not even aware of, but we're going to get this started. Who do we have first? We have Drew Barrymore. Y'all know Drew Barrymore. She made her big screen debut in 1982 in the movie E.T., The Extraterrestrial. And since then, she's starred in hit movies like Siesta Clarita Diet, Charlie's Angels. Y'all know Charlie's Angels. That was actually a remake, I believe, from the 70s, right? Blended. And of course, those of you who have kept up with her or who watch daytime TV, she has her own successful talk show that she's had for years now, the Drew Barrymore Show. I've never really sat and watched an episode, but I know her show is very successful. She's had a lot of famous celebrities on there, A-list celebrities on there. She's been doing her thing for the daytime talk show. A couple of other movies that she starred in that were hits were 1999's Never Been Kissed and 1998's The Wedding Singer. Okay, and she also was featured in the beginning of Scream, the first Scream, 1996. And that was one of the movies that, in my once upon a time life when I just lived off of horror movies, that was always a staple for me with Miss Barrymore. Excuse me, I'm sorry. A staple for me with Miss Barrymore. Okay, who do we have next? Oh, we got Miss Regina King. Y'all know Regina King. She got her start off first appearing in the sitcom 227 back in 1985. That was the year I was born. Oh my gosh. Wait, Tevin says, I like Drew. She's good. Yes, she is a good actress. I thought about a movie that she was in came to mind when she was a young mother. I think it was kind of like a dramedy, a comedy / drama. I don't really remember too many details of the movie, so definitely don't remember the name. But yes, Drew Barrymore is a really good actress. Thank you, Terrence. If you think of any child stars that you know who was able to still keep their notoriety and keep working even as an adult, put it in the chat. Okay, put it in the chat. So Regina King got her start 227 alongside Marla Gibbs and Jack A. Harry in 227 back in 1985. And that went on for a few years. Very successful show. Her most notable work, of course, was Ray alongside Jamie Foxx. How can I go blank with him? I love me some Jamie Foxx. And the movie The Harder They Fall. If y'all didn't see Ray, that is such a dynamic biopic. Such a dynamic biopic. Amazing. And she was amazing in it. I forgot her character name in it, but she played one of the background singers who was Ray's lover, turned into Ray's lover. So she was the mistress, and she killed that role. Some other roles that she's really infamous for in some hit movies. 2018's If Beale Street Could Talk. I didn't watch that movie. Did anyone watch that movie? I don't know. Terrence says she was amazing in Ray Charles. Yes, she was amazing in the movie Ray. Okay, she also starred in 1993's Poetic Justice, y'all, alongside Tupac, alongside Janet Jackson, alongside, oh my goodness, what is his name? Joe Torre, Chicago, the one that kept brushing his hair the whole movie. Yes, I loved her. Her name was Keisha in the movie. She played that role, y'all. 1995's hit Friday alongside Ice Cube, Chris Tucker, John Witherspoon. What's her name that played D? Thelma Hopkins. Thelma Hopkins. She was amazing in that, and that was a comedy, but she was really good. She was good in comedies. She was good in comedies. Remember her also in John Singleton's, oh my goodness, what was the movie? Boys in the Hood. Why am I drawing a blank? Come on, y'all. I need my movie buffs on me. I need my movie buffs on with me. Boys in the Hood alongside Morris Chestnut, Ice Cube, Cuba Gooding Jr. Why am I drawing a blank? I know these names. Come on, y'all. So this is where my movie critic, I got to put my movie critic hat on. Yeah, so we watched, unfortunately, Regina King did lose her son to suicide a couple of years ago. And we're definitely going to make sure we keep her in prayer. She's still working. She's still doing it. What was another comedy Regina King was in? She was also in This Christmas alongside, what's the singer? Chris Brown. My husband, Columbus Short. Idris Elba. Loretta Devine, yes. Lauren London, yes, that was a good movie as well. Okay, who do we have next? Miss Keke Palmer. Yes, we watched Keke Palmer grow up right before our eyes. She was only 11 years old when she got her start, and she played Gina's niece in Barbershop 2 back in business. She also starred in shows Turned Up with the Taylors. Star. Did y'all see her in Star, the sitcom Star, the one that Lee Daniels did? that he started after Empire, and Star, in my opinion, ended up being way better than Empire. Empire was good, but Empire fell off. Empire was off, I think, what, 5, 6 seasons? Star was only 3 seasons, and Star was amazing. Keke Palmer was in seasons 2 and 3 as one of the singers signed to the label that Star and the group Star was in, and she did amazing. She did amazing. She's also known, of course, for her starring role in A Killer and the Bee, 2006 movie A Killer and the Bee, alongside Lawrence Fishburne and Angela Bassett, where she was the spelling bee champ. Yes, amazing movie. If you didn't see that, you have to watch that. And of course, she played Chili in the 2013 TLC biopic movie. That was a TV movie. That was a good movie as well. She did really well in that. If you're a Keke Palmer fan, put Keke Palmer in the chat. And any movie or show that you liked her in or that you loved her in. Okay, so we're going to hold on and see these comments. Tamika says Boondocks, she's the voice. Regina King was the voice in the Boondocks. I have no idea because I don't watch that show. Okay, we got, yes. Okay, Tamika saying yes, Regina King is. Temin says, I like her new movie with Eddie Murphy. Which new movie with Eddie Murphy? Who, Keke Palmer? Keke Palmer has a new movie with Eddie Murphy. Ketty says, yes, I like Keke Palmer. Yes, Keke Palmer is good. And again, we watched her grow up right before our eyes. Who else do we have? Who else do we have? Let's see here. Okay, again, if you have some child stars, let us know. Okay, let's see. Who we got next? Oh, we got Miss Lindsay Lohan. Y'all know Lindsay Lohan. She started in the classic remake of The Parent Trap, where she played both twins. And she fell off for a while, but then she came back to the screens back in 2020 in movies like Freaky Friday. Yes, Freaky Friday, where she played the daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis, the infamous Jamie Lee Curtis. I love me some Jamie Lee Curtis, y'all. She also starred in the 2004 movie Mean Girls. I was never interested in watching Mean Girls. I watched it. I ended up watching it one night. I was doing my niece's hair, and I said, you know what? I got to make sure I find some kid-friendly movies to watch, and this will be a good time for us to talk about bullying. That movie was hilarious. If you have not watched Mean Girls, they came out with a new one. No, watch the 2004 with Lindsay Lohan. The 2004 Mean Girls with Lindsay Lohan. They did their thing with that movie. That movie was good. Good, interesting. Again, if you watch it with your kids or your niece, your grandchildren, it is a good, way to segue into talking about bullying and peer pressure and making sure you stand independent. But it was a really good movie. It was a really good movie. Okay, we're going to go over a couple of more before we get into our celebrity news. Who we got? Oh, we got Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio. I didn't realize he was a child star. I don't know where I've been. As much TV and movies as I love to watch, I had no idea that he was a child star. So he got his start doing commercials, actually, when he was really young. And then he moved into TV shows where he started in Growing Pains. I didn't know that. And I think I used to watch Growing Pains. He was also in the show Parenthood, not Parenthood with Robert Townsend, but it was another show, Parenthood, in the late 80s. And of course, he starred in many, many, many movies in his adult life. Two of my favorite of Leonardo DiCaprio's was 2013's Wolf of Wall Street. If you did not watch that movie, that movie is bonkers. Make sure you go watch Wolf of Wall Street if you have not watched it already. And another movie that I love Leonardo DiCaprio in is Django Unchained 2012. And that is with my boy Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson, y'all. It took me a long time to watch Django. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. It took me a long time. But when I watched it, I loved it. I loved it. Okay, who we got next? Who we got? Let's see here. Oh, sorry, y'all. Okay, wait. Getting a couple of more. Let's do maybe two more. Who we got? Oh, wait, I want to make sure I pronounce her name properly. Mayim Bialik. Blossom. If you're a millennial or older, especially a millennial, you know Blossom. Remember in the beginning of her show, she's doing the dance routine. And remember her best friend Six? In Six, the one who plays Six, she ended up starring in the Parkers. That was Phoebe in the Parkers, Kim's best friend. She did amazing in the Parkers. Remember her brother Joey? Whoa, that's all her brother ever said. I did not remember her real name, but of course, because of Blossom, she was a TV staple. And she was 16 when she starred in Blossom in 1991. And recently, she's been co-starring in shows like The Big Bang Theory and Call Me Kat. I do not watch those shows. I do know of The Big Bang Theory, but that is just not my cup of tea. I just don't. But I know what? I think I was with someone and they watched it. I watched the episode. It was if that's your flavor. But yeah, no, it wasn't for me. But everyone has their. I love Blossom. Is Blossom streaming on anything? I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Let's try to get one more. Okay, we have. If you don't know who this is Tristan McWiles. Now, if you were The Wire, a fan of The Wire, HBO's series The Wire, if you were not a fan because you never heard of it or you heard of it but never took the time to watch, you have to make sure you go watch The Wire. It is still streaming on HBO Max, y'all. That is one of the best series I've ever watched, taking place in Baltimore. McWiles, he was part of the Corner Boys in season 5. They had 5 seasons. Season 5, they introduced a young cast. McWiles was part of that cast. He started acting professionally in 2005 and got his debut in the miniseries called The Miracle Boys. But his breakout role was Michael Lee's HBO series The Wire, which started in 2006. I think 2006 was when it was season 5, and you had him and a few other faces that we still see now, and they all still look alike. Like you see his young picture, and then look at him now. I mean, he's gorgeous. But look at him. Everybody still looks the same. Okay, he also, as an adult, he starred in the series Shots Fired. I believe that's the series with Sanaa Lathan, when Sanaa Lathan was a cop. He also starred in the movie Praise This with Chloe Bailey. That movie was good. That's streaming on Peacock. Right now. The movie was pretty good. And he also starred in the movie Both Eyes Open, which is actually, I believe, streaming on HBO right now. That movie is really, really, really good. Really, really, really good. Okay, so these are just a few actors that we've watched grow up in front of us who are still doing it right now. So kudos to them. Before we move on, let's get to a couple of these comments. Tamika says, childhood stars, Neil Patrick Harris from Doogie Howser. Yes, I actually did come across him last night. Actually did come across him last night. I was like, wow, Doogie Howser, that's making me feel old. Y'all remember Doogie Howser? Wasn't he the teen doctor? The young doctor? Okay, Terrence says, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt was good too. Think he did Angels in the Outfield when he was younger. Okay. I remember that show, but I didn't watch it, I believe. Didn't watch it. But yes, yeah, I love, God has us doing this movie critic thing with our show, My Two Cents. I'm loving diving into it a lot more now. Because now it's like giving me more of a purpose to watch and be engaged in these series and throwback sitcoms and movies. So yes, we got to make sure that we're staying in tune. Now let's get into some celebrity news, y'all. Let's get into some celebrity news. Came across a couple of interesting things, interesting topics, and one of the ones I'm going to talk about is kind of a no-brainer because this has been surfacing the past couple of days. Let's see here. It's definitely surfacing. All right, so everyone knows that Miss Brandy and Miss Monica have been scheduled to go on tour this fall. They announced it back in June of this year, and if you were a Brandy Monica fan or if you were down with the so-called beef that took place between them back in the 90s, that definitely would help to bring a lot of attention and probably drive ticket sales for this concert. And they started the concert, the Boys Mind Tour. The Boys Mind Tour. The whole purpose of it was to celebrate the anniversary of the single The Boys Mind, the duet that they had back in 1998. Now, before we get into why we're talking about this morning, they're saying this is the 25th anniversary of the song. Now, I know I've been taking remedial math since elementary, but we are now in 2025, right? So when I did the math, from 1998 to 2025 is 27 years. So I don't know. Maybe they meant to start the tour in, 2 years ago. I don't know. But the tour started on the 16th, I believe. Yes, on the 16th. So that was last week. And they stopped in Chicago this past Saturday on the 18th at the Wintrust Arena, right? So the whole thing now is that during the Chicago show, while Brandy was performing one of her songs, she just walked off stage and never came back. Like, it wasn't the end of her set. Mid-song, she's singing and she just walks off. No explanation. And she doesn't come back to the stage, right? So I want to read a couple of quotes that she gave because it did take her a couple of days to take to social media. So she took to Instagram and she wrote, quote, "After weeks of nonstop rehearsals, last night I experienced dehydration and feelings of wanting to faint. Everyone involved agreed that prioritizing my well-being was of the utmost importance. I sincerely apologize for the abrupt end to last night's performance in Chicago. I still made the decision to try and return and give it my all despite not feeling okay. With having to make some adjustments and the show being very technical, unfortunately, it was impossible to fully connect sonically with the production. I really appreciate everyone's best efforts." End quote. And then she continued with saying how she was thanking her co-headliner Monica for stepping up with such grace and professionalism. Those were her exact words in regards to that. Now, because she walked off, I guess they were not able to end the show the way that they were supposed to. They were supposed to end the show because this is the Boy Is Mine tour to celebrate the anniversary of the Boy Is Mine song that they did together. That's how the show ends. The show ends with them doing that song. They did not end with that. Okay, so she walked off. Monica came on, gave a speech, sung a little bit, and then according to the people in the audience, the lights went out, and then that was the end of the show. No explanation, no nothing. Now, you know, growing up, you always feel like a lot of these celebrities are like way older, but Brandy is 46, Monica is 44. So they're still relatively young, but they've been doing this since they were kids, literally. So they've been doing this a lot. Now, I want to really quick go into their set list, their tour details, right? So 24 cities, this tour is set to be in 24 cities, starting October 16th and ending December 14th. Right? Now, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull up the set list because I found this rather interesting. Their tour is actually featuring other acts like Coco Jones, Kelly Rowland, Mooney Long. So of course, you know, a lot of these celebrities have opening acts. Tour dates. Anyone who knows anything about performing, right? So again, starting October 16th, ending December 14th. You had them in Cincinnati on the 16th, Milwaukee on the 17th, Chicago on the 18th, Indianapolis on the 19th, Nashville the 24th, back in Chicago, I think, on the 25th, Kansas City 26th, Memphis 30th, Atlanta on the 31st, Greensboro. Where's Greensboro? That's not Ohio, right? But that's on November 1st. Baltimore on the 2nd, Inglewood on the 6th, Paradise, I don't know where that is, on the 7th. Wait, where's Paradise? That's in Nevada. Okay. So Inglewood on the 6th, Nevada on the 7th, Oakland on the 8th. So I'm going through all of this for a reason, right? St. Louis on the 16th. I'm skipping some dates. New York on the 20th, Newark on the 21st, Atlantic City on the 22nd, Hampton on the 23rd. Why am I going over all of this, right? Now, the set list, they have six different acts, like 6 different pockets of songs, performing times during the show. So the first act, it's a mix of Brandy and Monica songs. The second act is only Brandy songs. Third act is only Monica songs. Fourth act, I believe it's a mix. Yes, it's a mix. Fifth act, it's a mix. 6, it's a mix, and they're supposed to end with The Boy Is Mine. They are 44 and 46 years old. It's like being an athlete from young, and now you've grown up, you've been doing this all your life. And I just came across a video where they were talking about Monica stating that something was going on with her voice. Something was going on with her voice. We have a check-in for Miss Charlene. Good morning, Miss Charlene. Thank you for joining us. Saying something was going on with her voice, but from what I came across, it didn't hinder their performance. So I don't know if it was in between, but from the dates that we just read, there is no in between. They're literally booked almost like every single day in a different city, different state, right? Now, the performance where Brandy walked off, she was performing her song Baby, and that is the second song in Act 5. So it was almost towards the end of the show. So that's about the 15th song she sung for the night, right? But then I came across another video that showed what happened backstage when Brandy walked off the stage. And she's kind of singing as she walks off. If you haven't, go watch the video. Because it's like she's walking and then she turns real quick, like she just saw someone who she owed money to. And she walks off the stage and she's singing backstage until she gets to the sound guy. She looks real annoyed. And she goes and she kind of moves the sound guy to the side, and she's trying to look at the soundboard to see what's going on. And then she says in the mic to the audience, "Give me a second, y'all. I got to get my sound right." And then that's the end of that video. So then it was, it's kind of like, well, what's up with this dehydration thing? Because you dehydrated, you getting off the stage and you walking and get yourself something to drink. I mean, that's at least what I'm thinking, or sitting down or something. So, of course, again, Monica came out and she said what she said. She's like, the enemy's not going to win tonight, so on and so forth. And I love sharing the stage. I'm honest to share the stage with Miss Brandon Norwood. And she sings her song, and that's the end of the show, period. Now, these tickets, I looked up how much these tickets cost, right? So, of course, depending on the city, depending on the venue, will dictate the ticket prices, because each venue requires, a certain amount of money for them to rent. How much that the promoters have to pay to rent the venue out will dictate, and how much Monica and Brandy is charging will dictate how much these tickets are. So these tickets range from anywhere from $175 to $1,700. And of course, from the different venues that I was looking up so far, Barclays is the most expensive. Barclays is the huge arena in Brooklyn. Okay. So for anywhere from $175 to almost $1,700, you're paying to now see a show like this. And the people in the audience were, of course, do we have to think, extremely unhappy. Okay. So she put, I look forward to returning to the stage stronger and more grateful than ever, alongside my girl, Monica, tonight in Indianapolis. So I guess that was the next day. They're supposed to be in Indianapolis. What do y'all think? Do y'all think this was some dehydration thing, or do y'all think that she didn't get her set right? Well, they didn't get her set right, and she was frustrated, and she just didn't return back to stage. Because again, what she said didn't quite match what we were able to see backstage. I don't know if she knew that footage of her going backstage, messing with that soundboard, if she knew that was out when she put out the quote on Instagram. I don't know, but we're definitely going to talk about this with the men. Okay, so, goodness gracious. We now have a viewer submitted story, which I thought was rather interesting. I really had to do my homework on this, because this definitely wasn't my my area. I'll definitely notice something. All right, so we have this huge thing going on right now. This huge gambling ring going on where there is a sports gambling indictment. All right, so you have Terry Rozier. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's a point guard on the Miami Heat basketball team. And then you have Chauncey Billups, who is Portland Trail Blazers head coach. And they were both recently arrested. Why? Because they've been charged with this whole sports gambling thing. And from what I was told and from what I was reading, this is like a huge thing right now that the authorities were trying to follow for a long time. But they were in connection with two major federal gambling investigations that has implicated other NBA figures as well. So it's not just them. But of course, they got to make sure they put faces to what they're doing, even when they're rallying up the other people. So the NBA has stated that Rozier and Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their team since being charged and arrested. Now, there is another former player. What's his name? His last name is Jones. Hold up. Let me make sure I get this right, because this was rather interesting. Damon Jones. I believe Damon Jones. So while Damon Jones was affiliated with the LA Lakers, Now, mind you, this was a former player. He leaked information about injury status of other players like LeBron James to sports bettors before a game that took place back in February of 2023. He also leaked information about another player, Anthony Davis. Now, again, y'all make sure because, well, I made sure, but I'm just now learning a lot of these basketball players' names because I'm not a sports girl. I just know the ones who got a lot of endorsements who be on TV all the time. But I'm learning. I'm learning the name. I'm learning to put the faces with the names. But he had a game back in January of last year, 2024, against Oklahoma City Thunder. And his medical records were leaked by Jones while he was acting as an unofficial coach for the Lakers. So all of this is so that they could get this information so they can know who to bet against so that they can win. Okay, so you have the coach Billups, who is one of 31 defendants, some of whom are alleged mafia members, and they've been participating in this nationwide scheme to rig poker games as well. So it's not only betting on the games, it's also poker games that they've been rigging with high-tech cheating technology, and they've been able to steal millions of dollars from some people in these underground poker games, okay? So they've been able to get about $7.15 million from people with rigging this poker game since back in 2019. So allegedly, the poker game scheme involves conspirators. They're using technology, including poker chip trays that analyzes and tampers with shuffling the machines so that it can send information about players. I was really trying to make sure I understand exactly what was going on. Hold on, let me see if I can get into exactly what, because we need to make sure we have a thorough understanding of what it is they were doing. Okay, so they have ties to the mafia, some mafia families. All right, so the poker games. So saying the defendants, including members and associates of some high crime families, are accused of using cheating technology to steal millions from victims during the rigged games, using shuffling machines to count the cards and predict who had the best hand. That information was then transmitted to someone sitting at the table who used signals to communicate it with others who were also in on the scheme. They also had some type of special glasses that they were able to use to decoy cell phones and mark cards. So I guess the glasses was able to analyze some of the phones and some of the cards. This is just crazy. Now the sports betting, again, they're leaking information on medical records so they would know who was going to be out, and some players even faked and act like they were going to be out and then leaking it to their people. And there's one in particular. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, so the prosecution was able to get their hands on some information saying that the player Terry Rozier, am I pronouncing his name right? The men will let me know. That while playing for the Charlotte Hornets, he tipped off one of his friends, his childhood friends, by the name of De Niro Laster, and told him that he planned to leave a game early. Back in 2023, Rozier was playing a game, and he said, I'm going to leave the game early, and it was going to be due to a quote-unquote injury, right? So the friend and two others placed a $200,000 bet against him. So when he left, and pretty much they would win. And Rozier left the game in 9 minutes, which helped them to pay it off. So the friend collected the money and met Rozier at his house so they can then split the money. Okay, so of course, goes without saying, I'm not going to give you the tip if I'm not going to be in on it as well. Now, here's one of the saddest things. The coach, Billups. Okay, so he's a former NBA player, right, of 17 years. but he was just inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame last year in 2024. And now you're charged with wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering. Rozier is charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. So a magistrate judge required that Rozier post his $6 million house as collateral. So they weren't playing. Now, of course, they got these shiesty attorneys. So Billups' attorney says, quote, to believe that Chauncey Billups did what the federal government is accusing him of is to believe that he would risk his Hall of Fame legacy, his reputation, and his freedom. He would not jeopardize those things for anything, let alone a card game. Well, people have done more for less. Rozier's attorney states, quote, Terry is not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight. You know, they always just got something to say. Let's bring on our men, because this is just not making any kind of sense to me. Hold on, let's see who we got. Let's bring on our brother Ainsley. Good morning, brother Ainsley.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Shontyce.
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Now, you were here as we were sitting in on the actors, actresses that we watched grow up right in front of us. Are there any that we mentioned that you really liked, or anyone else came to mind who we didn't bring up?
No, I wasn't quite on. I saw a little bit of it. I wasn't getting see all of that. It's so interesting though. On the kids star, I remember. Unfortunately, he's gone. Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yes, Theo of the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Yes. So besides the Cosby Show, was there a favorite TV show, or did he do many movies? I don't think he did many movies.
Not really movies. He did more TV shows. He did another TV show with the comedian.
Oh yes, Eddie Griffin.
Eddie Griffin, yeah.
I couldn't stand that Malcolm and Eddie. I couldn't stand that show. Oh my goodness, I could not stand that. But yeah, it had a few seasons. Before they were canceled. So yes, unfortunately, we no longer have Malcolm Jamal Warner, but he did do his thing. I didn't really watch the series too much, but I did watch a few episodes of the series where he played alongside Morris Chestnut. They were doctors. He did really good in the episodes that I did see.
Right. He did one show. He did opposite Tracy Ross as a husband, I believe, too.
Oh yes. The Reed thing, right? Read Between Laws, the Reed something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. All right, let's bring on, who else we got? Let's bring on our brother Al.
Right, bring the basketball star on here.
Yeah, right. Good morning, brother Al.
Good morning. Chop of the morning.
How are you?
Everything's everything.
Good. Happy to have you on. Now, did we mention a child actor or actress that you are a fan of, or do you have one that we didn't mention?
Let me see here. I would say the kids from Good Times, Different Strokes. You know, I used to watch them a lot.
Okay. Wait, Good Times, Different Strokes. Wait, who was that?
Good Time with what's Thelma. You remember Thelma.
Yeah. So we watched her grow up, but she hasn't done much as an adult.
No, she really hasn't been much.
Children, and even now as an adult, they're still acting.
Okay, well, I know what's his name. Man. Well, we know from Different Stroke, the show one, we know he passed away, and but Willis, he doing like some, he ain't doing no big acting, but he's still in the business. You know, I saw him doing some like what you call it, them reality show things. He talking, but he ain't really doing much acting.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of them who plummeted and haven't returned, but there's some who's still going, kicking and going strong. Let's bring up our Pastor Jeff and see if there's any we mentioned that he's a fan of or if he has. Good morning, Pastor Jeff.
Hey, good morning. How are you? All right.
Bro.
Good. Any child actors or actresses that you've watched grow up and they're still doing their thing now as an adult that we mentioned or?
That young lady from 227.
I knew you was gonna say. How did I know you was gonna say Regina King? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss Regina King. Yes, she has. Oh my goodness, I love her acting chops and her credentials are crazy. She's done so many movies and good. I haven't watched her in anything that I thought she was hard. You know what she's good in? Did you guys see 7 Seconds? It's a mini series on Netflix.
I think I did see it, but I don't really remember it.
Oh my goodness. You have to go. That is one of the best mini series I have ever watched. She plays the mother of a victim. That whole series was dynamic. You have to go and watch it. You have to go watch it. It was really, really good. Okay, let's bring Pastor
She also was the voice of Boondocks. The characters in Boondocks. She was the voice for that. I didn't know that.
Boondocks. So I had no idea until Lady Tamika said it a little while ago. I had no idea to watch. Let's bring Pastor Kale on, even though we know he don't know nobody in this thing. So. Good morning, Pastor Kale.
Watch your mouth, little girl. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Good morning.
Right. What child actor or actress, Pastor Kale, that you watch grow up and they're still doing things in the industry now?
Well, I was going to say Regina King, but I also like Kim Fields.
Ooh, okay. Facts of Life, Tootie. And
living single.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yes. She,
I bet you did.
She also had she's been doing a lot of Christian based things. You know, she definitely converted over to the whole Christian industry. So she's been doing a lot of like the indie films, not low budget, but the indie films, and she's been doing pretty good. I don't know if you've watched A Question of Faith, where she played the wife of Richard T. Jones. That's the one who played Jill Scott's husband, her first husband in Why Did I Get Married? That movie was good. That movie was pretty good. It was a faith-based movie. Pretty good. Okay, gentlemen. So we have this whole situation with the Boys Mind tour with with Monica and Brandy that started this past October 16th, which was just last week, and it's supposed to end December 14th. And we had this situation where just 2 days after the tour started, Brandy just walks off stage. Oh, wait, before we get started, I'm sorry. We have a check-in from Evans. Good morning, Evans. And Tamika says childhood star Raven Simone. Yes, she grew up and kept doing her thing with her own show. They did a spin-off from her teen show, That's So Raven, and started doing Raven's House, where she was the mother. She went from being the daughter to then having her own family. So we have the Boys Mind tour, and in almost the end of the show, Brandy just walks off stage, and no one knew why. And then a couple of days later, a little after, she took to Instagram and said, she apologizes, but she felt really dehydrated and had to make the executive decision to put her health first. And even though she wanted to finish the show, she had to sit out. But then we came across another piece of footage where she just walked off the stage and went to the back and started messing with the sound guy and the sound bar and told the audience, "Give me a second, y'all. I gotta get my bearings together real quick with this sound." So we have pretty much everyone on here knows what it is to be in a performing arts and entertainment filled. Brother Ainsley, have you come across this? What are your initial thoughts on this? Or now that you've heard some of the information, is giving you a little more like, things that make you go,
Yeah, there's a few things. First of all, the bottom line, it should have never happened. You know, I think Brother KL, I know he can speak more about, you know, as a singer, you being ready for, as, you know, prepared, being hydrated, you know, you got no fluids in your system, you eat, you know, so you don't pass out on stage. You know, even as a musician, you got to be in somewhat decent shape to, you know, perform. If you know you're going to be doing this if you're doing this professionally, that's what you do, then you do it properly. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, so just not being physically prepared, and she's a vet in this game. So, I mean, I can say things happen, you know, but unless there was an ambulance ride to the hospital, and something serious is wrong, something that was preventable, it should never happen. And to me, it causes all kind of havoc because, you know, for those who know how that thing go, for those who doing promotion, the promoter, I'm like, if I'm paying out all these millions of dollars to put this show up, paying all this staff and stuff like that, and paying your salary, paying what you want, and you can, and you leave, you don't fulfill it, it poses a whole nother problem. Cause now I gotta pay back. How do I pay back all these thousands of people who would paid some of their money and stuff like that? And you know, it just poses a whole lot of problems. And also, today, with how things are so technically computerized, everything is, you know, basically it's so rigid. It's a set. It's on a sequence. So there's no room for error. You can't even freestyle if you want. One of the best concerts I've ever been to, believe it or not, it was a lineup, and one of the artists couldn't be there. Right? It was stuck, what the case may be. But we knew it before the show. Right? And so they gave you an option. You can get your money back, or you can see everybody else who stayed. Right? So I like to just stay. So, but those who stayed, they had a kind of freestyle. And when you got to, you know, that's when you see the real talent. What can you do in front of me that wasn't planned? And doing it. And that's one of the best shows, ever. And, you know, but when you got stuff that's all sequenced, and, you know, it's on a computer, there's no allowance and stuff like that. All right. You know, and I don't know how the show ended, but I'm pretty sure it was on a downfall. You know, because, you know, I don't know how well Monica, she could have done it by herself, you know, but it should never happen. It's a lot of stuff wrong with that, you know.
Absolutely. Well, they said that after Brandy walked off and didn't return to the stage, Monica got on stage and gave a little speech and talking about how the enemy is not going to win despite, you know, different things trying to pin Brandy and Monica together years ago, and she feels honored sharing the stage with Brandy now. And then she sung a song, and then they said the lights just went out, and that was the end of the show. Like that was it. And that wasn't the end of the set, because again, they were supposed to end with a few songs, and the very last song to end each show was supposed to be The Boy Is Mine.
Well, that's all they could do, because everything is so sequenced. Ain't nobody prepared to just a freestyle, you know. There's no room for improvisation. There's no real connection and stuff like that. Real artists, you can be able to do something right on the top of the dome. Say, listen, this happened. Sorry, but listen, we're gonna carry on and blah blah. Yo, get the keyboard. Y'all just do something right there on the spot. Real people
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But you know, only you can do in that situation. Oh, make a little quick PR speech. Oh, I'm sorry, bye. They just lucky that it was near the end of the show. So the fans can say, well, they got pretty much a good part of their money's worth, you know. So that they're fortunate for that. But had it happen right in the middle, oh man, it'd be even worse.
Yes, this happened in the second to last act. So they still had 4 songs to go in that act, and 6 songs to go in the last act. So they got cheated a lot. Pastor KL, as a singer, performer, someone who has done this for years, professionally as well. With hearing this scenario, what are your thoughts? Especially with her apology isn't matching the footage that we were able to see. And again, I don't think she anticipated someone posting the footage of her going backstage and not looking too dehydrated. But you know, and you want yourself, you know, you do sound check, and then that, and two of the girls in the audience, they posted a video and said, it's weird how Monica's sound was on point, but Brandy's sound isn't on point. And again, we know as performers, anything can go crazy, and we can do a sound check for 3 hours. And then once it's time to go live, all kinds of things happen. So now she took it upon herself. She was like, you know what? Because Brandy's sound was going in and out a lot. She immediately walked off. It was like a hood person, like, let me go see what's happening back here because they playing with me. And sung until she sung her way to the soundboard. Pushed the sound guy to the side and was like on the board, like, okay, what's going on? Like some real like, let me see, you know, what's going on. So what's
Well, first of all, I think that's a bad combination anyway. Yeah, I don't particularly like Brandy's vocals. I think, you know, he's subpar. But that was very, very unprofessional. And as an artist, you know, just like Brother Ainsley says, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if Brother Ainsley remembers, but Ainsley and I was in Florida, and we were in a huge concert with a whole lot of people in the audience. And the system went down. There was no power. He couldn't play the keyboards. The mics didn't work. Everybody was in an uproar and frantic. Ainsley went to the baby grand piano, and I began to sing without a mic. And we ripped up the whole concert. You got to be prepared for all types of stuff. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, vocalists can't sing without a mic.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like Angie was saying, they can't improvise. You know, they can't do these kind of things. You know, I'm a vocal teacher, and I was a vocal teacher for a long time in New York. And my first concept with my students was, you're supposed to be louder than a train. Mm-hmm. When I teach you, your voice is supposed to be louder than a train. Mm-hmm. So that at any opportunity, if that mic fails, you still got to be heard. Mm-hmm. I don't think Brandy was professional enough. Vocally, she wasn't strong enough. Because even if your mic, listen, you know how many times I preach at a mic and the mics are horrible, and I just put the mic down, or I'm singing and the mic is horrible, and I just put it down, or the keyboard player is playing in the key of Z, and I tell him to stop. You know what I mean? You got to still keep going. The show must go on. So she definitely wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
Yes. And to back up what you're saying, Pastor KL, I remember a time I was singing and I had to tell the keyboardist, I kept going like this, like, just stop.
It wasn't me, by the way. Maybe everybody
no. Let me just say, and I've said this to people before, even people who don't know Brother Ainsley. I said, Ainsley is the only person I've sung with, a keyboardist I've sung with. We never rehearsed together. I wasn't sure if he knew the song, but I went to him and said, listen, this is the song I'm fitting to sing. Please follow me. And he followed me perfectly. There was a time I had to keep going like this, and I had to tell Pastor Steph, tell them to stop playing a cappella, because they were horrible. And I've had to tell my niece, who is just now getting into performing arts, and I have to say, listen, you are the boss of this show. This is your show. When you're on stage, whether you're dancing, whether you're singing, you set the tone for how this arena, this area is going to rock out. So if you dancing and the music is messing up, you tell them to stop and you keep dancing. If you break your toe, you sit out on the stage and you keep dancing. But you set the tone for this. So you're absolutely right, Pastor KL. Pastor Jeff. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Before we get into that, we have a comment. Lady Tamika says, Brandy's video looked like she had an attitude as a singer. It's annoying when your sound isn't working properly. There are gestures that are used to get the musical engineer's attention. When still it doesn't work, she may have felt targeted and then went to check things out, but to completely walk off and not return appears unprofessional. You could see the crowd looking around in despair like she left. They were. Everyone was confused. Everyone was confused. Pastor Jeff, how upset would you have been with you paying anywhere from $175 to almost $1,700 to see this longly anticipated concert, and this is how it ends?
Well, first of all, I'm feeling a little left out with all this talent around me this morning. You know, I'm the non-singer, non-actor here, and I'm a little godly jealous, you know. But
you have talents, Pastor.
I'm questioning my talents with, you know, like, Lord, what are my talents, you know? But I would be very upset. Trust me, you know. I spend my money because I'm hard at that. When I spend my money, I'm expecting to get what my money was spent for, and when I don't get it, we got a problem. But I can't understand her, you know, being upset about, you know, the system and all of that. But the show must go on, and you got to work around whatever issues that come up, especially if I spend my money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother Al, you done took Lady Tamika to see the Boys Mind concert tour with the show in your city. You done paid this money. And now Brady just walks off stage, doesn't return. And now the show isn't finished. Because, of course, everyone is waiting to hear the Boys Mind song. So even if the audience didn't know the set list in regards to like which songs is next and which song is supposed to be the closeout song, they knew they were supposed to hear that song. And they didn't perform that song. How upset are you?
I'm jumping up on stage and like, yo, what's going on? You need to get back out here and do what you do. I done paid this money, boy. 2 tickets. 2, not 1, 2. You gonna get up and back out here and do what you gotta do. And you know, honestly, I think maybe she was just tired because, you know, when you listen to all the rehearsing and this and that, but just like what Ainsley was saying, you have to be prepared. You have to be in shape. And, you know, as a performer, all of us who perform had things happen. In my college days, when I used to rap and I was doing a lot, you know, I was honored to open up for Queen Latifah at my homecoming at my school, and the mic went out. And while I was performing, and I put the mic down, and I was like, yo, I don't need no mic. And just went on with what I did, you know, because again, the show must go on. I've done that in acting, being in a show, and the show done started, and the girl's supposed to come out, and she's not out, and I'm on the stage by myself. So I improvised. You know, what I did made it look like that was how it's supposed to go, but you got to be prepared to keep going.
Absolutely.
So that was very unprofessional. And then all the money you charged for these tickets, and then like Ainsley said, okay, you saying something wrong with the sound system. That Monica came right out, and her mic sound good. So now they're telling me that was an excuse.
But again, right. But again, like Lady Tamika said, she probably felt targeted or just annoyed because, you know, there hasn't been any glitches with Monica's mic or with any other mic. And now while she's performing, you know, and we don't know if the sound just started messing up with her at that point or if it was kind of off and on throughout the duration. Because again, this was almost the end of the show. But now
we need to see the video. We need to see the video and see what happened while she was singing. Was there a glitch or, you know, like you said, could have been.
The sound was off. You can hear in the video that her sound was off. And while she was singing, before she walked off stage, she's singing, because she was singing the baby song. baby, 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 baby. She's singing that, and in the middle of her singing, she's singing, "What's up with the sound?" You know, but if you wasn't really paying attention, you wouldn't have caught it. And she's like, you know, walking back and forth on the stage, singing, and she walks halfway this way, and then quick turns back and walks off the stage, but singing while she's walking off, but then walks all the way to the sound guy singing. And then when she gets to the sound guy, she's like, "Give me a second, y'all. I'm trying to get my sound together." And she's over there messing with the board, trying to see what's going on. So, but either way, as it was stated, now really quickly,
you should have grabbed Monica mic. Monica,
right?
give me your mic. Hurry up.
That time, at the time. But really quick, gentlemen, the tour is produced by Black Promoters Collective. And one of the things that came to mind for me, and I came across another video, and this came across the mind of the one who was commentating that video as well, is the dates. So you have two veterans who are not old, but they're older, and they have a 25 city tour. And these dates are pretty much back to back to back. I think only one, maybe two times they skip two dates. So like one will be on, okay, so for example, they're in St. Louis on November 16th, and then their next show is the 20th, 4 days later in New York City. But then the very next day they're in Newark, the very next day they're in Atlantic City, the very next day they're in Hampton. And it's like, why are these so crammed together? You know, so it's not giving any real time for any rest. They haven't toured in a while. You know, they haven't toured in a while.
No. That's just how it goes. Listen, because you're going by proximity to the city. You know what I'm saying? We in New York, you know, the Garden, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Barclays, Jersey, Newark, down to Vegas, is all in proximity and stuff like that. You know, so you know, so you ain't got to go but so far. You're gonna keep on going south. You know, you probably go Baltimore, Virginia. Then you know, his stuff. You know, it's all in line and like that. They're not gonna go from New York to LA, then come back to the East Coast, and go back to the West Coast. So you're gonna hit those cities one back to back, 3 or 4 days. Just like in the NBA, they might have back to back. You know, that's just a part of the game. That's your job. You can't work 3 days in a row. Come on now.
No. I'm not questioning the route.
Okay.
I'm questioning the dates. I get the whole.
But I'm saying, work, no, so what? You got to work 3 days in a row? Come on. This is what you do. You sing.
No, listen. Again, but again, like we spoke about when Pastor Steph brought up last Friday with the whole Will Smith and Jada Pinkett situation. I get it. I agree. It doesn't make sense. And this is why they do it like this, like you said, as far as the venues. If we're going to travel north or travel south, then that's the route we're going. Ain't no doubling back. That doesn't make any sense. Right. My question was, why are you the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, if? With all due respect, you're not in your prime anymore. You get what I'm saying? So now, because it's just like, okay, so sports keep being brought up as an analogy, right? With sports, even when you're young, by a certain age, you're old in the sports world. So now you have women who are middle-aged, because when you're 40s, you're middle-aged women who've been doing this for years. But right now, you're not in your prime. So now you're going on. So again, they just did a video and post about how Monica's voice was kind of a little out of commission. The tour just started. The tour just started last Thursday. This situation with Brandy happened 2 days later on Saturday. So in my opinion, that's already showing that the dates are too close together. They're literally one day after the next to have a 40 song set list. There's 40 songs on there. And then if you have one intermission in the concert, that's still only one intermission. These women are also dancing as well as singing. They're not like they're not like a Patti LaBelle or one of those where all they do is just stand there and sing.
Well, see so that's their problem. Because seriously, okay. So for most of y'all know that I've taught with Luther Vandross for 3 years, and Luther was that. Luther ain't trying to dance. He stood in one spot and sang. You understand what I'm saying? And then we did it again tomorrow. For those of you who are in New York, I was in a play called Mama Wanna Sing. And Mama Wanna Sing had a show every night. They had 3 shows on Saturday and 2 shows on Sunday. You have to be, for a vocalist, you have to be in shape. It's just not for like athletes. You got to be vocally in shape to be able to do this stuff. And when you have all these shows, guess what? Before the show, you don't talk. We ain't on the phone gossiping and eating French fries and because you have to be prepared for the show. Now, I think these 2 women who I love Monica. Again, I tell you, I'm not really too fond of Brandy, but they just had babies. You know what I mean? They're not in shape vocally anymore. Bobby Brown, who was a great entertainer, could not sing, but he could dance. Listen, if you can't do both, pick your poison. Pick your poison and run with it.
I agree. Like I said, I was bringing up all again because of the commitment. So you have these promoters, and I also worked in a concert theater in the Bronx. I've watched kind of like the behind the scenes as well. So you have the promoter who goes to the artist, or the artist seek out the promoter, and everyone makes a commitment to these dates. I agree. It is on you because you're the one committing. You can come to me right now and say, yo, Shontyce, I need you to do a 10-city tour right now on the spot. I'm sorry, because what you just said, Pastor KL, that's the first thing I'll take into consideration. I need to go into training first. Yeah, I can sing, but you want me to do a 40-song set back to back? I'm not playing myself. Because these women still have reputations to uphold. They still have, so even if they're not in their prime anymore, they still have to live up to when they were popping in the 90s. That's why everyone's buying the tickets now, because they loved you in the 90s, not because they love you now. Yeah, because they loved you then.
That's their problem, man. At least you know what's expected of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just not just in singing, they acting on the theater. I'm pretty sure that the NBA star, I know him from acting and whatnot. He had to do back-to-back shows and stuff like that. Things happen on stage that wasn't planned. But if you agree that I'm going to do these 3 shows this weekend and stuff like that, you got to do it, and he prepared for it, right?
Listen. I agree.
It's all on them. It's bottom line is it's a big excuse. It's her fault. She wasn't ready, and she caused a whole lot of problems.
Right. And whether it was a dehydration thing or whether it's because you had a temper tantrum, either way, you need to make sure you're more on point. And it's just also a matter of, again, Pastor Steph just brought it up last week about making a commitment. And the biggest difference here is Willow was 10, she's 46. Get it together. Get it together. Okay, so now we have this whole big sports gambling indictment with Terry. Am I pronouncing his name correctly, guys? Is it Terry Rozier?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's his name? Billups? Chauncey Billups?
Yeah.
Chauncey Billups,
Yeah, so they've been arrested because according to prosecutors, they've been leaking information, medical records for players so that they can leak the information to bettors, so the bettors would know who to bet against so that they will win, and obviously they get their cut. And also with this whole poker game rigging, and they've been able to accumulate at least $7.15 million from the victims using glasses to be able to see through cards and phones and shuffling tables and all kinds of scamming gadgets that they've been able to use. Now, these were 2 successful gentlemen in the NBA. The coach he used to be a player, and he just got inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame last year. This other one, he's been on multiple teams, correct? He didn't only play for Miami Heat. He used to play for another state.
Yeah, he been
The
on
Hornets.
The Hornets and all of that. And now they're facing time. They haven't said exactly how much time they could be facing, of course, because it's just the indictment. But this is just some foolishness. Now, Brother Al, we're gonna start with you because this is mainly your area of expertise with the basketball. But what are your thoughts on all of this? Like you have all of these credentials, and now this is what you start doing, and then you get caught. Winner.
The greed of money. You know, man, that green paper have people going crazy. Now you making good money as a coach, you're making good money as a player, but that just seemed to not be enough. Because they even had at one time the referees was doing the same thing. You know, because the referee can make the outcome of the game. You know, and so it's just the greed of money. Just that greed of money. It's like, okay, we can do this. Let's make even more. And again, thinking you was gonna get away with it. No, somebody's watching, and somebody's jealous that you making that money. I'm like, you know what? I'm telling. I want in, or I'm telling. You know, so it's sad the greed of money. And these dudes are making millions of dollars as a coach and player, but it ain't enough. It ain't enough to just greed for money. Sad. Now they got to go in there and put money on Big Bubba commissary. You know, it's crazy.
Oh my goodness, Pastor Jeff, what's going on here with the people leaking the information and streaming it over to bettors so that they could also get their cut? Because they're not telling other people just so the other people can come up and they don't get their share.
I mean, just what the man of God said. It's that greed of money. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It just I need more. I need more. I need more. The lifestyles that they're living, they could be making 300 million, but they're living a lifestyle of 400 million. But I think if they're guilty, get them, because they messing the game up, man. They messing the game up. We sitting there thinking we watching an honest game, and you getting injuries like that and faking it and all that. I was bothered when I saw that coach was involved. It's like, man, you the head coach, and and you're a black head coach. Well, I had to be the black one.
We can't have nothing. Oh my goodness.
You making us look bad, man.
Yes. Pastor KL, what is going on? Why we have the success and like the gentleman said, the money isn't enough. You were just inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. What you doing?
Yeah, it's real sad. I mean, Chauncey Billups, I grew up with Chauncey Billups, watching him, but the other gentleman, I don't know who he is. I've never seen him in my life. He might be Paul, but I'm really not sure. But everybody keeps talking money, and that's the problem. The Bible talks about, that the love of money is the root of all evil. Yes, we need money to survive, but the love and the greed of money is going to take you down. And I think Brother Al said, when you live beyond your means, when your check is gone before you get it, a lot of times it's because you live beyond your means. When you have none to store away for a rainy day, that means something in your house that you're paying for, or something in your life that you're dealing with, you can't afford. My biggest saying all the time is just because you have it, don't mean you can afford it.
Absolutely. Brother Ainsley, what is going on?
I agree with my brothers, but I got a whole different approach, that whole thinking about this whole thing and whatnot. Because I got a whole different thing. First of all, Not to say that they may not have been involved with doing something, but let's face it, all sports stuff, they got some stuff about with them. Baseball, basketball, football. In baseball, you see, a pitch thrown, it's definitely a strike. They call it a ball. Or something is a ball, they call it a strike. Clear as day. It's like it's blind and stuff like this. You got to wonder, are they on the take and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? So my thing with this, right now, supposedly, Chauncey Billups, now he's supposed to have these X-ray tables and these glasses, this rigging system going up. And it's involving two Mexican cartels, all these mobsters and stuff like this. And the only ones you put out and arrest and put out on the public is these two black men.
Of course. You know the game.
Cartels you arrested. You know what I'm saying? Why gotta just be the brothers? You know what I'm saying? So my thing is that they're just trying to, I think this is a projection thing. They're trying to bring attention to this to keep our attention away from something else, the Epstein files. You know what I'm saying? It's just trying to keep our attention away from that. Oh, see, we gotta deal with this here and whatnot. Stuff been going on. There's been poker games going on. Sports betting, now you can do sports betting on your phone. This stuff has been going on for years and stuff like that. And I think you mentioned that, they made like $17 million over 6 years. That ain't no money with people who got that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? So I think what's really going on is bigger, much bigger than what it appears to be. Just for the matter of fact, you just put these Chauncey Billups, who was a current head coach, so he's busy doing what he got to do because the season is just starting out and stuff like that. And not to say they not be involved with stuff like that, but they're in that kind of tax bracket, so they'll spend $25,000 on this, buy a Bentley on. So they talking more on bigger money purchases and doing things much on a larger scale than most of us are, But I think it's way bigger. It's way just more bigger than what it appears to be. Because I'm like, if you're really taking down a Mexican cartel, I think a Mexican cartel is the profile of a Mexican cartel leader is much more prominent than an ex-basketball star. But brothers on there, right? So to me, it's like, okay, here we go again. That's I think it's way more involved than what it appears to be.
I mean, of course, that they're gonna put our faces out there as the face of the lockup brand. They're saying that including in the group of defendants are members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families.
So where that
New York, New York crime families, and they're also accused of the whole cheating with the poker games. So they're part of the defendant list when it comes to the poker games, not necessarily maybe even the rigging of the basketball games and the betting on that, but mainly they're listed here for the poker games. And that's one of the first things I thought. I was like, well, why are you entangled with the mafia? If you're doing basketball, why do you have any dealings with the mafia? What is that about?
Maybe you got no choice. You know how the mafia do. Either you down or it be a situation. It could be where he had no choice.
So
when the mob see you making, when the mob or cartel see that you making a lot of money, they coming to you and they gonna give you a proposition that you better not refuse.
Okay, and we've heard of that as well. So someone approaches you and says, okay, this is what I want you to do. Of course, because it's going to make me money. And I may throw you a couple of pennies. But I don't really have to pay you, because if I'm already threatening you, why am I going to pay you top dollar? But before we get into that, we have a couple of comments Terrence says, I heard about them. I think Gilbert Arenas snitched on them when he got arrested. He made it known he's not going back to jail. He's snitching. Okay, so that's another basketball player. Who's Gilbert Arenas?
He's a basketball player. He retired.
Out, so yeah.
Okay. But Terrence also says Bello was really charged. Billups was really charged with the poker. He wasn't doing sports betting, which would save him. Okay, so if he wasn't engaging in the sports betting, but just the poker stuff, then he may not. Well, they've both been removed from their positions in the NBA right now.
I mean, if you got your boys come over, if you do your little personal bets on whatnot, you're playing poker. I think it's more to it than that. And just considering the amount of money they're talking about. The most I can bet is like 25 cents. That's my budget. You know what I'm saying? But Al, he can bet like 1,000 on the table, and so that's his crew and what.
Oh no, I don't bet. I don't like losing money, so I don't even think about betting. My main thing, if I lose, I'm gonna be mad because I just lost my money. So no fair.
Yeah, I only got 25 cents for you, bro.
So now when it comes to this betting, because I know someone who engages in, like Brother Ainsley said, you can bet on your phone now, and they'll periodically do the whole betting. They'll look on there, kind of see the statistics, almost look like a stock market type of thing. Because I did glance over and see that, and you can place your bet for whatever amount of money. And the person I know, he got mad because a couple of weeks ago he didn't bet, but his friend or family member, somebody did, and they won a lot of money. I think they won over $1,000. And again, like like Pastor Jeff said, you think you're watching an honest game. So before you even get into betting, you think you're just watching a basketball game, regardless of which team is playing. This is just an honest, integral game. Someone gets injured, it's legit. Someone gets benched, it's legit. Someone gets thrown into the game, it's legit. The coach is making their plays and calling their plays. Referees are calling whatever, it's legit. Now on top of that, you're possibly betting on something that you don't even realize is rigged. So let's say you're not a part of the set that gets that information streamed to them that, this player gonna act like he's injured, so bet against that team. So now, you know what I'm saying? So now, what does that say for you betting? Even though you ain't got no business betting anyway, because it goes back to what Brother Al just said. God tells us to be good stewards over our money. Gambling, that's why we don't engage in stock. That's why we have no business engaging in stock markets as Christians, because you're gambling with your money. So now, because it's like the integrity of everything and almost everyone is just in the toilet. And even when you think you know what you're doing, you don't know what you're really doing. So now you're throwing your money where you think there's going to be a return on this. You're automatically throwing it down the toilet because you didn't get the information that this player was going to act like he was injured. So now you wait to see who's going to hurt their ankle, and now it's like, oh, okay, now I'll bet against that. And that can still be a ploy, because now they can act like they magically healed and now get the coach to put them back in the game, and now they win, but you done bet again. Pastor KL, are you there? You're unmuted. What does it say for not only the betting, but we don't even realize what we're getting ourselves involved in now, even as quote unquote innocent people. This is why we gotta. I was talking to Pastor Steph yesterday about something with someone, and she was like, "This is why I teach y'all. Y'all better ask questions, because even as the innocent person, you just never know what you're getting yourself into."
You know what? Let me use this analogy. When you wake up in the morning and you see the sun, you automatically think it's going to be a good day until you see clouds. And then you want to know, is it going to rain? Is it going to rain? So when it looks like it's a good day, when it looks like everything is okay, you're not worried about what happens. And didn't just start. Back in the days, they used to bet on people throwing fights. They knew that they were going to throw the fight. So they knew there was going to be a come up. You know what I mean? Nobody thought about what if the man's pride got to him and he said, I'm not going to lose this fight. And everybody loses. This is the game that you play. We have a huge casino out here. And every day somebody comes in here and say, hey, man, I lost about $300 yesterday. I said, you ain't losing. You know where it's at. It ain't lost. You know where it's at. You know where you put it. Stop saying you lost it. You didn't lose it because you know where it is. We take chances in life, and some chances we don't need to take.
I like that. You ain't losing. You know where it went. Pastor Jeff.
Yes.
What are we doing where it's like we don't even know, as a quote unquote innocent person, we don't even realize what we're getting ourselves into. This is why we can't be careless about what we're doing. We can't be careless about just jumping into things.
Well, the Bible talks about that. In business, you got to be diligent. You have to be aware, alert. You got to stay on top of it, and you can't slack. I mean, that's just how it is. You get caught slipping.
Absolutely. Brother Ainsley, what are we doing? Again, we ain't got no business gambling anyway, especially as Christian people. In addition to that, it's like now you really got to make sure that what you're getting into is something that you know you're getting into, because there is just like no integrity in anything anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, people being dishonest, besides just the sports betting and the stock market, just in everything, man. There's some every there's a loss of integrity all around. But if it comes to betting, I ain't got no money to lose. That's why I cannot afford to lose. And I know I see people like they play their numbers every day, and I'm like, out of the time, if you add up how much you win, how much you lost throughout the whole year, what's your return on investment? Are you really making money over the course of the year? And to me, you do better really investing that money elsewhere, if that's the point. So if you're really into the thrill of the betting thing, that's one thing. But if you really want to make money, is that the real way to go about it? You know what I'm saying? But of course, there's always going to be some cheating involved, even in the stock market. And even with that, I try to learn about it, because those are a means to invest and grow your money, grow wealth and stuff like that. I ain't do well with it. I was, but I wasn't, because I got into it. And my thing is, I know when to get in, but I didn't know when to get out. So I saw money grow up, and I wasn't watching this thing. I know all of that stuff was gone. So, and then you always what you call it. The people they know when insider trading, they know when things is about to happen, so they'll bet against you, knowing you're gonna lose. And so, but it's like that all around life. So the main thing is, as far as betting, I just don't do it. You just gotta be, like Pastor Jeff said, you gotta be diligent, man. Study, and for everything you do, let the Lord order your stuff. You can't go wrong with that, first and foremost. That's it.
Man, thank you. Brother Al, I said stop gambling on them games, and look, you didn't even know it was rigged. This is why God tells us to just follow what he says and stop trying to justify what we want to do, because we don't see around the corner, but he does.
Oh yeah, most definitely. People people get the thrill. I got a friend of mine, play like Brother Ainsley said, play numbers all the time. Because it's the thrill of, man, I put this number in for $1, and if I hit, I get $500. So they banking. It's just $1, but I can get this amount. You know, and I remember over here by me, there's a store here where they do the lottery and stuff like that. And I went into the store to get something. And I saw this older guy, and you know, I'm standing online. I'm watching this long line of people putting their numbers in, and this man sat there, and I watched him put all these numbers in. Gave the lady the money, came right outside, sat there, and took out a cup and was asking people for change. And I'm sitting there like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yo, that's crazy to me. I'm looking at him asking people, excuse me, you have to change. Bro, you just put a whole bunch of numbers in. Just I'm like, you serious?
Wow.
And then it always tripped me out when I look at the you know, when they got all the commercials of, I think one is FanDuel that I kept seeing yesterday as a commercial. And all these betting sites, it's so funny because they say you can bet this and you can do this. And then right at the bottom in small letters, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800. And I'll be sitting there crying out. So we want you to bet, but then we also can help you if you go too far. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you said, what the Bible said of us being conscious of our money and taking care of our money. And there's safe things you can get into, like real estate. Real estate is one of the things you start seeing your money back right away when you rent out your apartment. I tell people all the time, there's something I didn't know about the high yield saving account. You know, you put your money in saving and you making money as you saving, you know, and it's not gambling because the bank, people don't understand when you put your money in a bank. I used to work with Chase Bank. They invest your money. They make money off your money and give you, like, you look at your statement, if you got Citibank, Bank of America one day, and you see the end of the month, it is an interest, 70 cents. So they make all these thousands of dollars off your money and give you 70 cents. You know what I'm saying? And I found out about a high yield saving account, and I was like, whoa, okay, that's cool. And I put my money in there, and every month I'm making a nice little amount of money, and, you know, and saving my money. So, you know, the gambling is, wow, you know, and I see people get addicted when they do anything to get money to bet. Let me just get one more time. Especially when, you know, you got the ones that deeply involved. You know, when they hit big. But when they lose big. You know what I'm saying? And they can't stop. And it's like, man, it's crazy. Pawning jewelry, pawning your stuff to get money to bet. Man. And like you said, Bible don't tell us to do that. Leave that be.
Right.
You want to bet on. Look, you want to bet on God. You can't lose with that.
Exactly. That never lets you down. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being on with us today, giving your thoughts to take us, like Pastor Steph always says, into such a thought-provoking weekend. And thank y'all for giving me some insights because sports is not my lane, but I got to learn a little something today. Thank you guys so much and have a blessed weekend. Thank you.
All right.
You have a blessed weekend. I bet you Shontyce gonna close out.
Whatever. Oh man, they just gave a lot of good tips in regards to what are we doing? What are we doing? Not only what are we doing with our money, what are we doing with our choices? What are we doing with our freedom? You know, the verse, I'm paraphrasing, the verse where God says, don't use your freedom to pretty much do things that's against him. He blesses us with free will and with a sound mind and all of that so that we can properly and genuinely choose the things that are of him. And I pulled up, as we kept talking about the gambling, I pulled up Ecclesiastes 5:10 in the Amplified version, and that's read, he who loves money will not be satisfied with money, nor he who loves abundance with its gain. This too is vanity, emptiness. And we have to really be careful. One of the things that came to mind as the gentleman was talking was there is no discipline in sin. I remember God gave me that while we were here on his Due Time with Pastor Steph a couple of months ago. And reading this verse here, Ecclesiastes 5:10, also makes me think about the verse that says, you will never be satisfied. And that's making me think about the switch tip God gave us. Be careful what you feed. You're feeding this desire to just want to have more and more and more. You were just inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, sir. So whether he's a part of the poker and or the sports betting, What are you doing? Why isn't that more than enough that you would be recognized? And again, as one of the gentlemen said, and then it's on this side of the fence. Now, we already have an issue with this side of the fence being recognized for what we do. We've been watching PSAs at the beginning of every It's Due Time with Pastor Steph's show for the past few weeks as to how we thought that the other side of the fence invented things, but yet it was this side of the fence who invented things. But because they never want to give us our flowers, because they never want to give us our credit, we don't get recognized properly. And it's not until a quadrillion years later that the name now resurfaces. And no, you thought they invented potato chips. This one really invented potato chips. You thought this one invented the alarm system. This one invented the alarm system. No, it was this one who invented the cataract surgery. No, it was this one who did that. And it's like, so you're being recognized. And now, what do you think you're going to be remembered for the most? Being inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame or being arrested for rigging poker games with family members and associates of the mafia? Because we're never just going to rise that much, unfortunately. The other side of the fence can do whatever, whenever, however, and always be remembered for the one time they did something good. We could do a lifetime of good and do that one stupid thing, but it's that one stupid thing that we're remembered for. And there's a verse that says that. There's a verse that says that. I think it's in the Old Testament. I'm going to look it up. Hit me up on social media, y'all. Shontyce Brand on Facebook, Shontyce Brand on Instagram, and remind me to look up the verse, because there is a verse like that. When I read that, I was like, wow. I'm kind of paraphrasing. Well, not kind of, I'm paraphrasing. The verse says something like, you can do a whole lot, but let you do that one thing. And it doesn't mean that God is not a forgiving God. It's more like, it just shows how that one stupid move we make can be so costly. So costly. And then we get mad at other people or mad at other situations when we're in a certain position. We need to stop. We need to be careful of what we're feeding. We need to make sure that we're not trying to convince ourselves that there's discipline and sin and all of that. It probably started off with them doing this 1 or 2 times and they figured, I'm pretty sure they didn't sit and say, well, this is going to be my lifestyle. But it develops into that. So we have to make sure that we're being on point, that we're sticking to what we commit to. Again, like with the Brittany and Monica situation, if it really has something to do with her health, that's absolutely one thing, because we all know that physically we can push ourselves, but so far, again, it was the beginning of the tour. The second show of a 25-city tour series. This is the second city. And you're dehydrated and fatigued, and if that's what happened. We have to do better. People are, when you're in the entertainment field, sports, that's still entertainment. You are committing to providing this service to your fans, to your supporters. They pay for these basketball tickets. We sit and we pay for whatever streaming service, cable, so that we can watch these basketball games. Support your supporters. That's what you signed up for, as the gentleman said, and I completely agree. So we have to make sure that we're being on point, guys, and making sure that we're not feeding into things we have no business feeding into, and that we're keeping our commitments. Okay? You are watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Make sure you catch us live every Monday through Friday morning, right here on Coach for Christian Life Facebook page and a Closer Walk Christian Media Network YouTube channel. I'm sorry, I don't know why I got tongue tied. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below, okay? Make sure you pay attention to things that are above, not the things that are here on the earth, because as we just got finished listening to, it will only serve as a distraction. Please remember that prayer changes things. So make sure you take the time to pray today. Make sure you take the time to contact Pastor Steph and let her know you're thinking about her. You're hoping that she gets the rest that she needs and she feels a little better. Thanking God and thanking Pastor Steph for entrusting me to assist you with getting your morning started right. Praying that you appreciated this time with me as well. Until Monday, God spares, where we will be shaking the Monday morning blues. So praying that you have a safe, productive, and relaxing weekend. Until then, I love you.